Hello, beautiful souls. Victoria Amador here, and today I want to talk to you about discernment, the natural ability to be able to discern energies, situations, experiences, the environment, and what can be blocking this natural ability within you. So let's start with shame. There are things, little things that maybe we experience in childhood early on in life that we don't realize that have such a big impact on who we become. And as we talk about this today, I want you to keep an open mind, listen with your heart, listen with your body so that you can get the most out of this conversation. There are things that we experience in childhood, teenager years, the preteens, teenagers, adults, and so on, that bring us to today. Those things that create a sense of feeling ashamed of who we are or the things that we have done. That feeling of, oh my God, if anybody knows, oof, I don't know if I can ever share that with anyone because they're going to look at me differently. And the reason why we have these feelings and experiences in regards to shame that block the ability to discern energies is crucial for us to understand, because when we don't understand what's happening within us, the energy of discernment can turn against you and it can become non-existent, or it can even get to the point where it becomes the inner critic. I'm sure you all know that term. So when we don't pay attention to the things and the healing process and we don't do our part, the experiences that created a feeling of shame is going to block the ability for you to discern energies and to be able to walk your path to reclaim your power. So when someone says or does something that causes us to feel ashamed, to feel humiliated, it creates a wound, or it amplifies the previous wound that is already there, so that it triggers you to go to a previous experience where something similar happened, whether it is in this life or another. And I really believe that people that are here now that are experiencing depression, anxiety, feeling feelings of powerlessness, I see a lot of people that have shame as a core emotion that they need to work through in order for them to work through their healing journey. But a lot of people don't realize that people that are depressed or that have anxiety deal with a lot of shame. People that are afraid of tapping into their spiritual abilities, that have a lot of spiritual power, also experience a lot of hidden shame that they might not even be aware of. And by the end of today's conversation, hopefully that's going to make sense to you. So just stay with me for the time being. Now, shame is the lowest of the lowest vibrational emotion that we can feel within us. It's about 20 hertz, I think, according to David Hawkins, who wrote the book, The Map. I think it's The Map of Consciousness. You can find it on Amazon. I'll see if I can put the link here. So 20 hertz, I think it is. That's pretty low. That is the lowest of the lowest. And the reason why it's so low is because when we experience shame, there is a sense of powerlessness. So for people like ourselves that experience shame and depression, there is also a sense of powerlessness and maybe even hopelessness and despair, right? So I want you to keep this in mind, because a lot of people that are experiencing depression, that feel like something is wrong, I'm depressed, or I'm anxious all the time, or I cannot even hear myself, my intuitive gifts, maybe because you are experiencing something related to shame. And again, stay tuned because it's going to make sense in a little bit. So when we experience shame, it kind of blocks our power. And in this reality, in this life here now, we come to reclaim our power. And we have to work through a lot of different experiences, not just this life. Most of my clients, all of them, not most, all of my clients that have experience depression and come to heal depression symptoms, they always go to past lives and in between lives. And why? Because it's not just from this life that the shame comes from, it's also from past life, between lives, and the womb. So shame is one of those emotions that are going to take us to the spiritual awakening process as well. If you don't do it now, you're going to have to do it later. Eventually it comes back. You might get so much energy, you move to the next phase of your life, and eventually you come back to the spiritual side, because shame leads to reclaiming power. And the power that I'm talking about is not the 3D power that we're used to knowing, power of having things, having a car, having money, having people like you, traveling to expensive places or different places. All of that requires money, requires a level of power, 3D power. But what I'm talking about is reclaiming our true sacred power, the light that we have lost, the soul pieces that we have lost, that we need to recuperate in order for us to remember who we are. That is the power that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about 3D power. So the 5D power is coming back to ourselves, to remember who we really are, that we are beyond just the physical body, that we are completely powerful spiritual beings that are capable of the magic that we read in stories, capable of the things that we believe are impossible. So when we work in healing this sense of shame, humiliation, it is the beginning of the spiritual awakening and the beginning of reclaiming the parts of us that we have lost. Because when we experience shame, parts of our energy field fragments. We have trillions of particles within us that composes this body, energy. Little pieces of those particles leave when we experience shame. If it is very, very heavy, chunks may leave at a time. That's what we call soul fragmentation. So when we experience shame, we are experiencing less light within us because it's set to the side until we start working at it again. But what happens when somebody is shaming us on purpose, criticizing us, humiliating us? Sometimes we do it to the people that we love because we are experiencing that, and we come home and we do this to, you spend 10 hours at work, you come home after being criticized, and you do it to the people that love you, which is really sad because we break our families when we do this and we don't even realize what we're doing. It just hurts so deep to know that we do this. And when we start the healing journey and we start forgiving ourselves for what we have done, but also asking forgiveness from those that we have hurt and letting them know how wrong we were, is part of the healing process, because we need to be able to do that, right? So when we criticize others, I'm not talking about constructive feedback. I'm talking about criticism, which is different. Harsh criticism, when on purpose you're trying to put someone down, when on purpose you're trying to make them wrong, when on purpose you're trying to make them small, and on purpose you're stealing their power. That's what I'm talking about. So when we criticize someone and we do it, and we don't realize what we're doing it, but we're doing it whether consciously or unconsciously, we are stealing somebody's power away. We are. And the moment that you become aware of this, you're going to now be asking yourself when you're criticizing someone if you're doing that. And this is important because this is part also of the healing journey. You have to be able to be aware of yourself when you're having those conversations to know what you need to heal within yourself. So when we don't have compassion towards someone is when we can be critical of them. So that sense of not having compassion for me, of what I needed to express in that moment, is where the betrayal piece comes into place. So not being understood, not being felt like the person has empathy and compassion for me, of what I needed to express in that moment is where the critical point comes into place about the betrayal. So it's not the betrayal because you betray me and you don't believe the same thing, but it's the empathy that was missing in the moment. So when we are criticizing someone, we lack empathy and compassion, and we lack connection, intimate connection in that moment. When we criticize someone and we put somebody down, we also are stealing parts of their energy field, parts of their life force. So it's an attack on the energetic person. So when we are seeing the discernment piece, the aspect of us, doesn't see just the five senses of the human physical self. The discernment person aspect of us sees the regular senses, the psychic, astral senses, intuitive senses, right? The spiritual senses. It has all the light bodies, all the different light bodies have different senses that the physical body doesn't have access to. We have the five senses, right? But beyond the five senses, we have other senses, and those senses are also working at the same time with discerning aspect of us to feed us information. So in that moment that person is critical of us and is really putting us down, making us feel small, trying to make you feel small, trying to make you wrong for being you, because that's a criticism, is making you wrong for being who you are. The discerning aspect of us that has access to all the extra senses is also able to experience beyond the five physical senses and experience what happens energetically when that person does that, and we allow it because we don't have the resources and we have so much shame that we need to work through. We also allow the discerning aspect says, but it's not just the five senses. All the different senses are receiving information and experiencing the loss of energy. So this criticism is an attack not only on the little me, the physical me, but also the spiritual, the spirit and soul level of who I am. We can experience the physical energy decreasing and the spiritual and soul level energy also decreasing, because there is loss of energy, there is loss of light within us. We have to go through the healing journey to reclaim the power that we lost, reclaim all the light, the soul fragments that we have lost, so that we can feel whole within us, so that we can have integrity and self-respect within us. We are going back to self-esteem, but it's beyond the self-esteem. It's integrity and self-respect and self-love, self-awareness, self-understanding, is getting back the sacred self within us, that connection, connecting all of the three versions of us in alignment. And when we do that, we can reclaim the power that we have lost throughout time and space. You cannot use your intuitive gift. You know why you cannot use your intuitive gift when we have shame? And we have all of these different sensations and feelings, is because to be able to tap to our intuitive self, we have to have access to the astral self and the different light bodies, the senses beyond the physical. And we cannot have access to that when it is completely surrounded by residue of the different emotions that we don't want in our life, that keep us feeling small, that keep our vibrational field low. Because to tap into intuitive field, we have to have so much energy in order for us to be able to discern what that is that we are picking up from around us and beyond us. Otherwise, it is misinterpreted given what traumas you have experienced. So you cannot really become a powerful healer and an intuitive medium and psychic and so on until you do this healing work, because a lot of the work can be, a lot of the things that you're picking up can be misinterpreted given the level of trauma that you haven't worked through. The discernment aspect of us is not in alignment because we are not paying attention. It's going to turn against us so that we can pay attention, because only through the suffering we can be like, oh my God, I have to do something about this because it's driving me crazy, right? So the more power it has, this inner critic, the more it's calling your attention to say, we need to seek help. Balance. When we get back to balance, we have discernment. We can have discernment of whether the energies that are coming in your dreams, the things that you're tapping in, are of the light, of the darkness, and you can be right in the middle looking at it to be able to understand what's happening. That is true discernment, right? Where you can tap beyond the physical to understand the true intentions behind people and energies, entities, and so on. When we criticize, we're trying to control someone. So what is it that you want to control in the moment that you're criticizing? And when someone is criticizing you, go through the experience. What is it that they needed in that moment that made them lash out on you? Because that way you can understand them better. Maybe that person doesn't belong in your life. Maybe it's time to let that person go. Or maybe it's time for you to do the healing so that you don't trigger them to that point. And maybe the relationship can work. That's going to be up to you. You know, when we criticize, our empath, heart-centered groundedness is not accessible. So we cannot see their point of view because we are rigid in what we believe in the moment. We are making an assumption that what we believe is the only truth and that no other truth matters. When we are criticizing our children, our friends, family, or colleagues, whoever it is, what is it that you are trying to control in that moment? And that's going to help you go and start that healing process of becoming self-aware. The negative qualities of discernment, you know, that inner critic within us is going to block the part that has crucial discernment, that has the ability to understand beyond the physical what is the truth in this experience for you, because the truth can be a million versions of the truth, and it's going to be based on the filter of consciousness, right? The more we open up our filter, the more we're going to be able to go deeper and deeper into understanding that everything can be a degree of truth. So there is no, I'm not going to get into that. So I hope this helps to understand how we steal energy from other people when we put them down, and how we allow others to take energy from ourselves when we allow those experiences to happen. Sometimes what we need is let go of the people that are doing this. Let go of the people that are always criticizing you, or be able to have a crucial conversation. You know, I really don't like when you have this type of conversations with me and you use those words and you try to make me feel small by saying X, Y, and Z. Sometimes just having those conversations can help the other person understand what they're doing. So it's not like we normally just have to leave the person in the friendship, but we can open ourselves to have crucial conversations with the people that we want in our lives. If we don't want them in our life, goodbye. But if I want someone in my life, I'm willing to have those conversations. I'm open to them. So again, I hope this really helps you to open up to like, okay, wow, this is really a process of reclaiming my power, reclaiming the pieces that I have lost, reclaiming the parts of me that need to be honest and open and willing to do this work so that I can have integrity with myself, so that I can have respect for myself, so that I can be able to stand in my truth, in my power, without having to apologize to anything or anyone, because I am in integrity with who I am. And when you start that journey of recovering the self-integrity and the power and the energy and the light, you will not have depression, you will not have insecurities, and you will not have anxiety, and you're not going to have a lot of the problems that you have now, because you are coming back to your true self, your sacred self. You're becoming in alignment with your soul and spirit. And it's a beautiful work. You're going to be able to use your willpower, your voice with integrity. There is no need to hurt somebody else, because it is my truth, and I know that I can tap into your energy so that I can use words that don't have to offend you. Now, if they trigger you because you need to do some work, that's a different thing. There is always going to be those things that happen, but I'm not going to on purpose attack you. I'm not going on purpose trying to make you small and put you down. That's different than being in your power and being honest and open and with integrity and respect for yourself. And when you have integrity and respect for yourself, you're going to have it for other people too. It's not just for yourself. You're going to experience that at a very collective consciousness level that is very sacred and very beautiful. But you have to start with yourself. You really do. So anyways, I'm going to leave it here for now. Thank you so much. I hope this really helped you. Let me know what you got out of this message today. Thank you so much. I'll see you all in the next one.